The member for Hughes.
My question is to the Treasurer. Will the Treasurer outline to the House how the government is acting to deliver lower and more competitive taxes for hard-working Australians running small businesses in my electorate of Hughes and around the nation? And is the Treasurer aware of any alternate approaches?
The Treasurer has the call.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the member for Hughes, who was a great champion of small business in this parliament, Mr. Speaker, a great champion. In this budget, once again, the Turnbull government has said yes to small businesses, to back them in, to ensure that they can pay lower taxes. And in particular, Mr. Speaker, we have said yes again to extending the instant asset write-off, but not just to companies up to $2 million, Mr. Speaker, to companies up to $10 million in turnover. That's who we've said will get tax cuts and extra tax support as small businesses in this country. The Labor Party has said no to that, Mr. Speaker. The Labor Party has said no to small businesses up to $10 million having lower taxes and having access to the instant asset write-off. In addition to that, in the budget we said yes to cutting the red tape of state and local governments by entering into a partnership with those governments with some $300 million to cut red tape to lower the costs for small business in this country. We said yes to that, Mr. Speaker. The Labor Party said no to small business when it comes to cutting red tape. They want small businesses to pay higher taxes and they want small businesses to deal with more red tape, Mr. Speaker. And we said yes in this parliament to cutting the taxes for small businesses and medium-sized businesses up to $50 million in turnover. As the Prime Minister has said, some 6.5 million Australian employees work in those businesses to whom we gave a tax cut in this parliament. What did the Labor Party do? They said no, and they voted no in this parliament for those 6.5 million Australians working in more than 3 million businesses, Mr. Speaker. And it's worse than that, because we know the Shadow Treasurer and the Leader of the Opposition have fully factored into their costings reversing those tax cuts for small businesses. They are going to increase taxes on hard-working small businesses if they ever get to occupy these Treasury benches. But they won't be upfront with the small business community about that. You won't hear from the Leader of the Opposition or the Shadow Treasurer an honest statement that is their intention that they will lift the taxes on small and medium-sized businesses that have been passed through this parliament. But if they don't say that, Mr. Speaker, what they are saying is they've got a $30 billion black hole, Mr. Speaker, in their costings, because they costed all of those changes. So what is it, Mr. Speaker? Do they support small businesses, and will they stand by the small business and medium-sized business tax cuts? Or, Mr. Speaker, will they be honest and tell Australian small businesses that they're going to say no to them, Mr. Speaker, as they keep saying no to a positive economic growth plan that is being pursued by this government?